Decommitments, flips, commitments, quarterback breakdowns, and more. This is going to be a fun live show here on the Portal Podcast.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Podcast where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first ticket purchase. We're going to be talking about the latest commitments, a few flips, and some decommitments. And then we're going to get into some film breakdowns. We've got three quarterbacks, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Alabama for the class of 27, as that class is already getting started. And all three of these guys are really, really good. We're going to discuss them. And we're also going to talk a little bit about my power poll. If I was looking at the college football playoff right now, which guys would I think are the key players? Who are some of the teams that may surprise you? Who's going to drop out? We're going to talk about some of that to end the show. But to begin, here are a few of the commitments. This won't take long. It's not a really busy day news-wise, but there are, again, flips, commits, and decommits. The flip is CJ Lavender out of Mater Dei High School just outside of LA. Of course, it's a famous program. Corner that is decided from Washington, now back home. He's going to stay closer to his family and play for the UCLA Bruins. Keep in mind, UCLA does not have a head coach yet. Washington's a pretty good team. Jeb Fish is a good coach, pretty good recruiter. That's an impressive get for the UCLA Bruins. Decommitment-wise, this is interesting. Cade Bush, tight end out of the state of Minnesota, he's no longer a part of the Arkansas class. It's awkward to try to figure out how a kid from that area ended up at Arkansas to begin with, but he's now decommitted. Obviously, Arkansas is in free fall. Alexander Haskell, Penn State is losing him, a defensive tackle at a St. Joe's Prep. That is a really important program down in the Philadelphia area, and it's always important to keep defensive tackles. But with James Franklin no longer a part of the Penn State Nittany Lions, I'm not shocked, and either am I shocked at this. Another Penn State decommit, Jack Fuchs, offensive tackle, 6'8", 290 pounds out of Hendersonville in Tennessee. He goes to Beach High School. Offensive tackles, they're also a premium position. That's rough. Penn State, we'll see what happens after they figure out who's going to be the next head coach for the Nittany Lions. But right now, they've lost several commitments, and that's two more. And then finally, Jamel House, tight end, 6'3", 240 pounds, out of Newberry, South Carolina. He is no longer committed to the Gamecocks. I don't know what's going to happen, but the entire situation with that coaching staff, they haven't played up to the standard that their fans expect. They've got a tough schedule. Obviously, they're in the Southeastern Conference. Is there going to be any kind of coaching movement there at all? So whether it's coordinators, head coach, obviously a certain job in Blacksburg, Virginia is open. Beamer, I mean, will he take the Virginia Tech job? I don't think so necessarily, but it's possible. So you could see some more movement with South Carolina recruits and just in general. I think it's a possibility that they're going to be on the hot seat because fans they're really crazy and rabid for the Gamecocks, and they're not having the best of seasons, especially after getting smacked by Oklahoma at home last weekend. Now, before I dive into the film, a couple of things to note. Number one, we're going to see a lot of movement because of what I just mentioned with the coaching stuff. Napier, who knows who's going to be replacing him at the University of Florida. Lane Kiffin is allegedly the number one guy. And allegedly Marcus Freeman is no longer in the mix at Florida, or never really was. He doesn't want the job, allegedly. Who else would Florida want? Think about that, because that's about as top of the board as you can get for a coaching situation, and that impacts every recruit in America. Because as soon as a coach is hired, somebody's got to go replace that spot. And all these recruits around the nation, they're attached to coaches first, far, far more often than they are to the schools. So every time a coaching hire or a decision for somebody to step down, even if it's an assistant, there will be recruiting ramifications. Secondarily, don't forget about the portal. It's the same thing. The guys that are already on campus. Napier was an extremely popular coach. Let's just use him as one barometer. That's going to cost Florida some recruits, sure, but it could also cost them guys on the roster. How many will it be? I don't know, but it's difficult to sit there and say, well, this is going to go great. Is it? Is it really? I'm not sure how quickly Florida will transition, and some of the coaches are after, like Kiffin, like if he does pick it, is he really going to leave for the Florida job before going to the playoff with the Rebels? They've got a chance to make the college football playoff, a pretty good one. This is a very volatile time. And final, just extra point, signing day is the first Wednesday in December. That is a grand total of 4 days after the final game. You have no time to finish your class. So even if somebody finished their season at a school, whether it's Florida or somewhere else, they take the gig, UCLA, Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State, whatever it may be, it's going to be hard. We're going to see a ton of kids flip between now and National Signing Day, and especially on signing day, because recruiting is built on relationships. Never, ever forget that. And to that point, Edmonds, Brady Edmonds. This is a quarterback that is not just good. He is the most recent Ohio State commitment. He's in class of 27 that you should know about. He's been committed for a long time, actually. He's out of Huntington Beach, California, and this is a young man that has a cannon. Absolutely, unequivocally, the prototypical college football quarterback that you would think of in the 1990s that played at Ohio State, that played at Michigan, that played at Southern Cal, somebody like that. This kid has a cannon. This shot right here on the sidelines is pretty good. I'm not sure how great his team is because he didn't throw for a ton of yards, but Brady, like you can see the size. He's 6'5", 215. He looks like an NFL quarterback now in terms of his stature. And watching him throw the football over and over when he steps into one, I'm not saying he's going to be the same player, but he's from the same area. He reminds me a little bit of a guy that played at USC, won the Heisman Trophy in 2002. Another California guy. Anybody know what I'm talking about? I'll let some people try to guess a little bit here. But look, there are a lot of quarterbacks that come out of California. Very few of them have the stature of Brady Edmonds. Like his frame is off a computer screen. 6'4", 6'5". If he's listed at 6'5", he's probably 6'4", but he's a big young man. Carson Palmer was the player I was referencing in terms of the guy that I remember from back in the day. And he was the number one quarterback when he came out. And he had just a rocket launcher. Every school in the country wanted him. He ended up at Southern Cal. Obviously, it worked out. He was the first pick in the draft. Edmonds gives me those vibes in terms of just how physically gifted he is. But he's playing in a different era. So here are my questions about him while this is running. And you can see the gun that he has. Does Brady Edmonds have the ability to throw the football down the field and all that? Sure. Can he run some RPO and actually run? In Ohio State's offense, he wouldn't need to run a ton. Don't get me wrong. Right here's a good sprint out example. Like, still got a pretty good release, finds the guy. He just extends the play. That's probably enough most of the time. But if you're playing Georgia or Notre Dame or Alabama or Miami or somebody like that in the playoff, going and getting 25 yards rushing, while it seems minuscule, could be the difference between winning and losing, because that might be 7 carries where you're getting 2 4th and shorts on sneaks, maybe a couple rollouts, and then 1 or 2 busted plays. Those are all important too. But again, as far as arm strength, understanding situations, technique, all of that, this kid has the goods. I really like Brady Edmonds a lot. I'm not surprised that the Buckeyes took him early. You can tell he's been coached for a very long time to play the position, and the ceiling for him is very, very high. I think he has an NFL future, and Ohio State will fit him very, very well. The only thing that I wonder about, does he run much at Ohio State in big games? How would he approach that? If he's a true competitor, I'm sure he would. But outside of that, I really don't see anything not to like about Edmonds. He's a good football player, and technique and all that. Though Ohio State does a really, really good job. I'm not worried about how they do with that. So next up here in a second, we'll get to Teddy Jarrard. He's Notre Dame's commitment. He's similar to Edmonds, not as big, a little more mobile, but he's a guy that's very accurate. He might be the most accurate quarterback in the class of 27. And then we're also going to talk about Alabama's quarterback commit. They just got their guy, kid out of Thompson. They stayed local for their guy. But let's get ahead right now, and we'll watch this one last play with Edmonds. But, man, he's a talented player. When he lets it rip, he really lets it rip. Nice move there by the receiver. All right, I'm going to pull up another one here. We're going to go to what I consider to be, again, the most accurate quarterback, just my opinion. Take your pick. There are several different guys that you could go with here. I'm not saying it's the only option, but this is, in my opinion, the most accurate quarterback in the class of 27. I've seen him live 3 different times. It's not that there aren't other guys. I haven't done my quarterback rankings yet, but Teddy Jarrard is out of North Cobb High School. He is a big-time passer, and he's somebody that, quite frankly, just has the goods in terms of when and where to throw the football. He's got a really good awareness in the game. I think he will end up being a starter at Notre Dame. He was a national recruit, Ohio State, Clemson, Michigan, Penn State. He had Georgia, you name it. He had all the offers too. 6'3"-ish, give or take, 200, 205 pounds, very cerebral player, knows how to extend plays. Ironically, he's got a little bit of CJ Carr to his game because CJ is obviously at Notre Dame. He's far more likely to extend a play. Like right there, he could have ran, but he decided to make the shot down the field. That's similar to what CJ would do. So there's a little irony there. And he's also a guy that can throw off platform, as you see. That's a dangerous throw, but you're not going to throw it much better than that, whether you're on platform or off. And then the sidearm motion sometimes, when he drops down, he does that occasionally when he's throwing screens. He'll do that to get it around a linebacker that's whistling or a safety up the middle. He's got good arm action regardless of which type of delivery you use. And he also might have, it's debatable, but he might have the fastest delivery in the class of 27 too. All those things together, Teddy's a pretty fun quarterback to watch. In terms of style outside of CJ, I would probably say the quarterback at Baylor. I forget his name, but that'd be one of them. There aren't a lot of quarterbacks, though, that have that delivery out that fast. So Teddy's one of my favorite players to watch in this class, and he's a fun guy. The only other player that I really think that I would compare him with is another kid from Texas. I forget his name too, but the kid at TCU. He's a heck of a quarterback, and he's in Bryle's system. He gets it out quick. I think Teddy would have been great in either one of those. But watching him overall, the only thing about him is just like he just needs to add a little more weight. The accuracy is very uncanny. This is him last year when he was playing at North Cobb Christian. He's since transferred over to North Cobb High School, the public school. He doesn't have many receiver options right now. A lot of guys are banged up, but they've improved quite a bit. And here's a couple of throws for Teddy when he's on the run. This is a rather surprise to me. I didn't know this until I watched the film because I'd seen him at the Rivals camp and then the Rivals 5-star camp, and I've seen him in one game. He doesn't run a ton. Again, it's not his preference. He'd rather extend the play. But when he does, sometimes he'll let it go right before he gets across the line, and other times he'll go get himself 5 to 10 yards and extend a drive. He is a willing runner if he has to be, though. And here is another example of that. Really good read right there to go to the outside. Sometimes you just got to go get 5 or 10 because there's nobody open. We'll do one more throw here. This is a good view from him from behind. Good pocket awareness. Moves from right to left and gets it out. So, again, Teddy's one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the class of 27. And speaking of that, the last guy that I'm going to show is the Alabama commitment. And this is a young man that like nobody really talks about. I've seen him play live one time. And no, actually, I've seen him play live twice. Once in a game, and another time I saw him at a camp. Trent Seaborn, he's at Thompson High School. This is unquestionably the best high school program in the state of Alabama. Like it's not really that close. But he is the epitome of the on-time, absolutely no doubt about it, accurate, consistent, know what you're doing. You're not going to confuse him. You can tell he lives it, he breathes it. This is a young man that really, really understands football. And I'm growing to like him more. He's not the biggest guy, but he's added weight. He's strong, and he's a better runner than people know. The game that I saw Trent play last year was at Auburn High in the playoffs. He had like a 75 or 80-yard touchdown run on a scramble. He's good at everything he does. There is nothing you can say, oh, man, he's nowhere near where he needs to be. And the system at Alabama is a tremendous fit for Seaborn as well. He's really athletic. He has the ability to throw the football all around. I don't think there's anybody that I would be disappointed with in regards to Seaborn in terms of like which school he could play. He'd figure it out. But Alabama might be the best fit for him out of anybody. It's ironic because that school is about, from where he lives, maybe an hour. So it's pretty convenient. So DeBoer, Grubbs, they get a guy that fits their scheme. He's local. He's at the best program. So the Alabama Crimson Tide absolutely gets somebody that fits what they're trying to do. Watch his delivery too. Like it's just consistent each and every time, whether he's on the run or not, he can really, really get it out quick. And he's just naturally accurate. He was the same way when I saw him in the playoff game at Auburn. Very consistent. Looked off the safety, made the throw on the post. We'll watch one more here, then we'll go to break real quick. Talk a little power poll. But Seaborn is one of my favorite quarterbacks just in terms of like the consistency. You don't ever have to worry about him really putting the ball in harm's way. So we'll watch this one right here too. Nice pass to the outside. Okay. Now Trent, again, that's a really, really good football player. And we're going to talk about quarterbacks for a long time, all the way through the end of this month. Probably about every day I'm going to do a live show talking about quarterbacks. Ziegler is a kid that just committed to SMU. LSU just got a commitment. There's a whole bunch of guys that are already off the board. I don't want to talk about some guys that aren't committed as well, but everything starts at quarterback. So when I do these live shows, we're going to do some film breakdowns. If you're listening on audio normally, that's cool. I get it. But you probably want to come back and check out some of the live shows. I'm just going to put them on YouTube. I'm not going to put them obviously up on the audio channels. But if you're going out and about, get a chance later, check out the YouTube page. When we come back, power poll for college football playoff. I think there's a different view from myself than some other people on how the playoff is going to kind of work itself out. We're going to talk about that next here on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. With the NFL season getting going, and it's a lot of fun. This is one of my favorite seasons of the NFL in quite some time. New customers at FanDuel can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down just $5. And if it hits, you can unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the FanDuel app. So player props, how many yards you're going to see somebody like Patrick Mahomes throw for. Maybe it's a defense. Maybe it's something that goes along with a parlay. Whatever you want to do with FanDuel, you can make it happen. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com and download the FanDuel app today. And we will also be promoted today by Game Time. If you're going to get tickets, this is the best app. Look, I'm a really picky guy, but I'm getting ready to buy tickets off there. I'm still negotiating with my dad which ones we want, and you can get it done in 5 minutes or less. Okay, that if you listen to nothing else for me talking about Game Time, note that, because all of it is very simple. Whether it's basketball, football, NFL, college, you can get it done really quick. And right now, college football season, we got great games all over the country. We got college basketball, which is what I'm going to do, getting ready to start. I'm going to get ready to go to a game. All you got to do is download the app, find the team you're looking for, click on that game, and you've got ticket options on your screen, which you can put your finger on and see your seat view. There's no surprise hidden fees. There's not a whole bunch of endless queues and all this other junk. In and out, you can be done in 5 minutes. Literally. It's not that hard. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets or any other with Game Time. All you got to do is download it, and you can get $20 off your first purchase with the code LOCKEDONCollege. Again, code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for coming in and checking this out. We're going to be doing a lot of live shows from now until February. It's going to be a blast. Live shows are going to involve all of the following: recruiting news, portal news, coaching firings, commitments, decommitments, definitely a lot of film breakdowns, and you guessed it, the college football playoff. I'm just going to do this for fun. This is something that I think is a blast. Who would you rank, not just based on how they performed this year, but from a power poll perspective? Like, who would you put where and why? Who would you put where and why? it's difficult for me. I go back and forth, and even as I look at my list, I have a few teams that I'm a little bit iffy on, but I'll do it this way. Whoever ends up being the team that's out of the G5 or G6, whatever you want to call it, that's fine. They're not going to be in my power poll. No offense to them. Watch out for San Diego State, by the way. They could finish 11-1 and be in that conversation. My guess is USF will get the bid, but I digress. But this list is very, very much fluid. These are the teams that I think, in terms of how I would rank them, in possibly making a run. So with that, just keep that in mind. Not picking on anybody or anything else, but number 12 is Ole Miss. I need to see more out of their defense. Like, they played horrible at Georgia, and they looked like they didn't even want to be on the field in the fourth quarter, but their offense is electric, and they've got two, not one, but two quarterbacks that I like. They're number 12. Number 11 is Texas Tech. I'd have them higher, but I need to see their quarterback in the lineup, their main quarterback, and healthy, in rhythm again. If he is, I would move them up a little bit higher, but we'll see what happens. Number 10 is Mizzou. Their offense needs to improve, but at the same time, I love the run game. Obviously, Ahmad is tremendous running back, and that defense is legit. They don't have one. It's not just Damon Wilson. They've got multiple pass rushers that are no fun to deal with. Good luck to any team that plays Missouri in the playoff. Number 9, speaking of not much fun, and ironically, they host Missouri this weekend. I'm calling it now. This will be the most closely played, back and forth, nip and tuck ball game of this next weekend. Vandy hosting Missouri. It'll be tremendous. If you like a line of scrimmage football, tough quarterbacks that can run, running backs that aren't afraid to get in there and pass pro, aren't afraid to get hit on a screen or anything else, just physical, traditional college football, Vandy hosting Missouri ought to be great. I really do. But Diego Pavia, to me, is the difference maker. And they're at home. I've got Vandy winning because I trust Pavia in this situation. And I never thought I would say this. Diego Pavia and that team, they've got Nashville and the state of Tennessee. They've caught some attention. They had a lot of fans. It wasn't a sellout against LSU, but there were a lot of people there. And good for them, man. Good for them. If you want to make it happen, I mean, truly make it happen, beat Missouri this weekend too. If they do, Vandy's got a great chance to go to the playoff. And I think that would be great for college football. I don't know anybody on that staff. I don't have any ties to Vandy, but it is a cool story. Missouri, I actually have some ties to that school, and they're a great story too. Somebody's going to lose. And the loser of that game, there's a really good chance they don't make the playoff. Really important. Number 8 is Bama. The reason I don't have them higher before somebody says, what are you doing? They don't run the ball very well. This past week, Jeremy Bernard was their leading rusher. What? There was another game this year that Ty Simpson, the not super mobile quarterback, also led him rushing. I forget what it was, but the total for the running back was like 20 yards, and Simpson had like 26. And I'm like, that's not a good sign. The run defense is not as good as it should be either. I think they're beatable against teams that are really good at the line of scrimmage. Miami, Texas A&M, Ohio State, definitely. I think they're definitively the best team. Notre Dame, Georgia, possibly, if they've had a rematch, could beat them, but Alabama outcoached them that first game, no doubt. Speaking of Georgia, I still have them ahead because I'm starting to think that their quarterback play is good enough now, and their defense is picking up enough now, and their O-line's picking up enough now. They've had a lot of injuries, that they're that team that I have a hard time figuring out. I consider Georgia all the way up to number 3. And part of that reason is they can't have more bad luck with their line than they've had this year, and they've survived for the most part. I mean, they've had multiple true freshmen in the lineup. That's not a good place to be. And Georgia, by the way, they've taken 27 linemen in recruiting over the last 5 years. It's not a lack of bringing in bodies. It just has not worked out. I don't know what's going on there in Athens, but if they figure that out, Gunnar Stockton is way better than people give him credit for, and he's a good runner. That is not a team that I want to face in a fourth quarter because, their defense is going to be good against the run. They've got some playmakers at running back and receiver. Tight ends are pretty good. Do not discount Gunnar Stockton. I've got Georgia number 7. Number 6, this is the other team that I have a very difficult time grading. You could almost say they're more difficult than Georgia. Depends on your perspective. That's Notre Dame. CJ Carr did not play that well against USC, but he made a couple critical plays in the second half. A TD pass, and a couple of runs, one of which was a scoring play. If they're good on offense in the red zone, or if they figure out short yardage, they're a possible juggernaut on offense. Welvin Price in the backfield, Eli Raritan at tight end, Malachi out there at the boundary spot, Jordan Faison. They've got weapons on offense. The defensive line is playing really well against the run. It's gotten better as a pass rush unit, but it's not elite. Kingston Viliama Asa, linebacker, he's one of the better young linebackers. And you got Winter Moore in the second. They've got a lot of pieces, but they have not played well together this year. They've been hurt a lot. Let's see how they do over the next few weeks. They're off this weekend. But if they show something in terms of chemistry and consistency, this is a possible top 4 team going into the playoff in terms of how they're playing. Or they could lay an egg and get beat by Pittsburgh. That's the only game left I think they got a chance to lose and not even make the playoff. Neither one of those would surprise me. Anything is possible with Notre Dame. Number 5, Texas A&M. They haven't lost yet. It's pretty simple. They won the Notre Dame game. They outlasted the Irish. Their team, even though Le'Veon Moss is out, he's a great running back, is one of the better running backs in college football. And Reuben is a great running back behind him. And the quarterback, Marcel Reed, he's getting better. He's still not great with post-snap reads, and he's not a very good deep ball thrower. But holy cow, do the Aggies ever have a tremendous number of players at the skill spots on offense? They're deep. They're so good. And on top of that, nobody's talking about their defense. Early in the year, I thought, man, this defense sucks. Notre Dame left probably 20 points on the board. They shot themselves in the foot so much. And A&M was lucky for it, but they survived. And now if they played Notre Dame, I think Notre Dame would have problems with A&M more than they did before because they're just not missing as many run gap fits. Their pass rush has improved, and they're just overall more consistent. So that's a team that they could win it. I'm curious to see how they do against some of the key teams down the stretch. That's going to be interesting. They've got LSU. That game in particular, if they win that game against LSU and LSU's back is against the wall, this is not what I'd want to play the Tigers. But if they win that game, watch out for A&M to possibly go undefeated. And by the way, at the very end, they go to Austin. With the way the Horns are playing on offense, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, I got A&M by double digits. Texas's offense is just not very good. Number 4, I got Miami. Yeah, I know they just played like garbage, and they did against Louisville in terms of Carson Beck, receivers weren't on the same page, etc. And they were mentally checked out of that game, which a lot of us called. That's not going to happen every week. And now they're motivated, I would assume, again. Can you imagine how much fun it was to go to practice on Monday or Tuesday? Probably not very much. Matter of fact, it was probably horrible. To that end, I think that Miami, just in my opinion, is a team that will win out. They do have a game against SMU coming up. That one is the only one that really gives me pause. And I think they will win the ACC title game. I think they will get a bye, and we'll see. My one big question about them kind of goes into these two parts. Cristobal is the most conservative offensive coach in college football as a head guy at a major program. Their run game is the most generic I've ever seen of any team. They run basically one play, and that is inside duo. They run a few others, but not really. They needed to diversify that run game a little bit. Carson Beck's not a runner. And secondarily, you've got not one, not two, but 3 guys that will probably play in some capacity at the NFL level at running back. They are loaded. You got to find a way, especially with Jordan Lyle. Get him outside. He's tremendous. Do that. Fletcher's the hammer, by all means. Shamar Brown, he's probably the best combo. He may be the best back of the 3. I don't know. But let's see a little diversification with the run game. That's on Cristobal. And that also goes into the play calls in general. They sit on the ball too much when they get a lead. Against one of these other teams, whether it's A&M or Alabama or whoever it is in the playoff, you can't just sit on the lead. You got to throw it. Even when you're ahead, it's okay. It's not illegal. Number 3, Oregon. Not really shocking. They went to Penn State, and I know Penn State's fallen apart since then. That's a tough environment. That's before everything mentally went into the tank for the Nittany Lions. And I think Dante learned from the very poor performance that he had later in the game against Indiana. He looked a little confused. IU's defense won that battle that day against Will Stein and the Oregon offensive coaches. And Dante was surprised, but you could just see the wheels turning. I've had a chance to be around Dante a few times. He's a great kid, very intelligent. He was an elite student coming out of high school. This is a guy that's going to figure it out. Anybody that is out on Dante Moore is missing. He is a very good player. And they've got a time, like, I'm not even going to name the skill talent they have. It's grotesque. And Sadiq in general, just throwing this out there in general, I don't care if you would have played him at defensive end, outside linebacker, tight end, inside linebacker. Maybe he could have even dropped just a little bit of weight and been the really big safety. He's going to have a part in this if they're going to make a run for the Big Ten title and or if they're going to make a run in the playoff. Watch out for Sadiq. He is a freaky athlete. Number 2 is Indiana. They beat Oregon, and they've just been Mr. Consistency. I still have questions about their depth, and this weekend is a big part of that. One of their starting DNs is out for the year. It was just announced by the Indiana football program. That's tough. That's really tough. How do they adapt? I know they've done a better job than anybody over the last 2 years with the portal, but they haven't hit the home run with recruiting before Signetti was there or now. It's gotten better, but they still don't have guys coming off the bench that were 4 and 5 stars. Offense, you can scheme. Defense is about recruiting. Let's see how many guys off the bench are going to be able to hold up when it's a close game in the fourth quarter and they got to play more snaps than they normally do. How good is Indiana's depth? That's my only question. Fernando Mendoza is tremendous. Surratt at receiver is about as good a route runner outside of maybe Mekhi Lemon at USC, debatable. But those would be my 2 route runners that I would take over anybody. And on top of that, their running back room and that offensive line, they're both way underrated. Black and all those guys they have, they rotate. They do a great job of working together. And at the end of the day, that team's just got a clutch gene. They're not much fun. I'm curious to see how they do when they eventually play Ohio State. They don't play them in the regular season. But barring something unforeseen, they're going to run the table. They got Penn State in a few weeks on the road. Is Penn State going to show up? I have no idea what Ethan Gruntmeyer and that team's going to do. But that should be a good game. That'll be a test. But other than that, they should go undefeated. They'll play Ohio State in the Big Ten title game, and we'll see. And then, of course, Ohio State. Let me be very clear about this. The job that the Ohio State team is doing, they're number 1, and I don't think it's particularly close. It's because of the defense. Name me the answer to this. What team that was even top 5 at the end of the year, anytime in recent memory in college football, pick the year. How many have done this? Lose all 4 of your down linemen, and then the next group comes in, and it's like you didn't lose anything. It's insane. They got good players, don't get me wrong. Kenyatta Jackson, Caden Curry, and they've got guys. But for the love of mankind, they've got one of the best defensive strings going of anybody in college football. In the back seven's what gets most of the attention. I'm cool with it. Ogbenosa is my one concern there. He's had more penalties in the last 2 years than probably any corner in college football. That guy is a walking yellow flag. But outside of that, the back 7, in particular, a certain safety, who I think is the most pure football player there is, they're elite. Can anybody score 30 on Ohio State this year, regular season or postseason? That is my question. And again, name a team that lost all 4 guys, lost all 4 up front, and have a defense even remotely like Ohio State's. I haven't even talked about the offensive fun stuff. Ennis, Tate, and Jeremiah. Like I knew all 3 of those when I was living in Florida, following their teams around 7-on-7 and all that stuff, going to high school games. I knew they were going to be good. That's low-hanging fruit. But then you got the quarterback situation. Did anybody see Julian Sayin being this good, this fast? He should be in New York, in my opinion, for the Heisman ceremony. I'm not saying he should win it, but he could. He's up there. It's insane how good their offense is. The only question on offense, I need to see them run the ball a little better. There's some question. Bo Jackson, the young running back, could be the guy. They've got multiple players that are going through that. I have no idea how that's going to go. But it's not like they're I wouldn't say they're the only team that can get away with having like a 75-yard rushing performance as a team and still win a playoff game. But they're one of maybe 4 or 5. Maybe A&M, Marcel Reed can run. CJ Carr's good enough. I can see that. When he's on, Carson Beckett might. There's a handful. But if Ohio State even runs for Like if you gave them 120 yards rushing against every team that's possible, would you pick them to lose against anybody in the college football playoff? I probably wouldn't. In my opinion, you're going to get beat by the receivers and tight ends for the most part anyway. I would just try to shut down the run, try to strip the ball, get deflections, and try to win with turnovers, because you're not going to just shut down that passing attack. That would be my way to go. It's still not a really good one, but I don't think there's a better option. So right now, to me, Ohio State is number 1, Indiana's 2, Oregon's 3, etc. But I think there's a gap between Ohio State and everybody else. So thank you once again for making this live edition of the Portal Podcast a fun one. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I'm going to start doing these more and more. Probably do them around noon most of the time, just after 12. Let people that are on lunch break have a little fun. But everybody, please like and subscribe. We will see you again soon on the Portal Podcast.